So RK Outpost is toxic, and he deserves to be called out. But I don't see people talking about him nearly as much as they talk about geeks and gamers and the quartering, even though he's doing exactly what they're doing, and possibly even worse. His content is very much the same as the rest of the fandom menace, in that he uploads multiple videos a day that rely heavily on clickbait. They talk about wokeness and how everything the people love is being ruined by agendas, and all his videos are just him reading articles giving little to no input whatsoever on these topics. It's just bottom of the barrel content really. But if that wasn't enough, he also comes off as very transphobic and homophobic, but I know those are serious accusations, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. He follows the trend of using nerd culture to hide his true intentions and motives, and instead tries to make it seem like he's just passionate about nerdy things, when in reality all he really does is hate on everything and anything that comes out. And it's one of my biggest problems with the whole nature of the anti-SJWs. They base their entire channels on negativity, anger, and hatred. RK Outpost is partnered with geeks and gamers, but when do these people ever actually talk about the stuff that they enjoy? You know, the reasons that they're geeks and gamers in the first place. Yes, in their videos they'll sometimes refer to something they like, but it's often only used as a gateway to criticize something else. For example, they'll say that they like the Star Wars prequels, but it's always followed by how much they hate the sequels. Or they'll say how much they love The Last of Us 1, only to then complain about The Last of Us 2. Can't imagine how empty it must feel. Also, just real quickly, if you appreciate what I do here, then consider checking out my Patreon. It would greatly help out the channel, and it comes with some benefits. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description. But anyways, RK Outpost is just like the rest of the other chuds we've responded to, in that he finds these scapegoats that generate him a lot of money, and then he'll milk the ever-living shit out of them until he's squeezed out every last drop of drama that he can muster up, and then he'll still make videos on the topic. For example, remember when the accident involving Alec Baldwin happened on the set of Rust? It was absolutely horrible and hopefully a very tragic accident, but for some reason this dude has made over 50 videos on Alec Baldwin. I don't care if the situation might be shady or if you don't like Alec Baldwin, because either way, 50 videos on the subject is incredibly excessive, and it's essentially exploiting and milking a tragedy. And oftentimes he doesn't even add anything of importance. It's just gossip. But I mean, I get it. Look at the views. If I didn't have this normal human tendency to want to follow my morals and try to be a sincere person, then I'd absolutely do this too, because he's making mad bank. But if you thought over 50 videos on Alec Baldwin was a lot, then wait until you hear that he has almost 100 videos on Gina Carano, defending her. Yes, the Gina Carano who compared the political division in the US to Nazi Germany. Great person to defend. But I think before I delve deeper into this topic, why don't we just hear what Ryan has to say about this himself, because it really shows what kind of YouTuber he is. We'll be watching a couple clips from this video titled Gina Carano Fights Back, Destroys Disney Cancel Culture, Will Star in Movie from Daily Wire. Oh boy, this will be fun.
What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and as we always knew, Gina Carano is a fighter, and she will not kneel. In the aftermath of Disney firing her, Lucasfilm firing her from The Mandalorian over her political beliefs, Gina Carano is already back on her feet and is already swinging again.
Listen, Gina Carano wasn't fired by Lucasfilm for her political opinions. She was fired for spreading toxic messages on her social media, violating the terms of her contract. She did shit like spreading anti-mask propaganda and fueling the conspiracy theory that the 2020 election was stolen via voter fraud. Stuff that's been widely debunked by anyone who knows what they're talking about. And of course her comments on Jewish people. That's why she was fired, because Disney as a corporation doesn't want the spread of opinions like these from people who work for them. Not because they themselves disagree or have different political opinions, they don't care about that, but because it's bad for their image. And if it's bad for their image, then it can potentially hurt their profit. That's why she was fired. Because believe it or not, the reason more and more shows and movies are becoming woke nowadays is because most people who watch these things are progressive, or at the very least abide by the basic fundamental ideology that people deserve the same rights and opportunities, and that the greater focus on the inclusion of women and people of color in mainstream media in important roles is long overdue. Disney as a mega corporation wants to please the crowd. That's why they do this stuff. That's why they place more emphasis on casting diverse people now more than ever. And while I hope that there are at least some people at Disney that actually do care about this stuff, I'm not getting my hopes up, because they'll do what's profitable. And obviously it's working, not just for Disney, but for Gina Carano too. This whole controversy has benefited her more than anyone anyone else. People like RK Outpost always says that wokeness is ruining modern pop culture, and I'm sure you've heard the phrase go woke, go broke before. But please think about it. If being woke and including more diversity and more progressive ideas in franchises and media in general was not profitable, and something that actually ruined these properties from an economic standpoint, then why the fuck would they keep doing it? I agree that on various sites on the internet, such as certain parts of YouTube, this more anti-SJW ideology is very prominent. For example, there are a lot more big anti-SJW channels than there are big progressive channels that counter them. A lot of online culture, nerd culture, and gaming culture is anti-SJW, or at least a lot of the vocal parts are. A lot of people who don't care about this whole woke debate don't take part in it. It's part of the reason why anti-woke opinions are so widespread online. But in the real world, so-called wokeness and progress is what sells. And you can keep being mad about it, or you can accept that the world is getting more inclusive and that some movies that come out will be shit, some will be good, and a lot will just be mediocre, just like it's always been. Because the thing is, diversity and progressive messages in media are only ever pointed out by these people when it serves their agendas, when that piece of media isn't very good. But they seem to forget to mention it whenever good pieces of media come out that focus on diversity or left-wing political topics, much more so than the popular movies which lack such political messaging whatsoever, like The Last Jedi and Captain Marvel, that really only have women as the main characters, and that's it. But these people still use these movies to criticize progressivism, diversity, and just the general direction that cinema is going. It's a hopeless battle because the world has been changing for a long time now, whether or not some angry fans online agree with it or not. And Disney letting go of Gina Carano is just part of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the things Gina Carano have posted online have varied from being quite inconsiderate of transgender people to being full-blown conspiracy theory shit that can be harmful by spreading unsafe opinions to a large audience, to comparing people being criticized for their political opinions to the Holocaust. An incredibly ignorant statement that shows a complete lack of empathy and understanding towards the biggest genocide of the modern era. The stuff she's said absolutely deserves to be called out, and Disney are well within their rights to not bring her back for future seasons of The Mandalorian. But again, it's not her opinions themselves that got her fired, it was the fact that she shared them online. Disney aren't saints, we know this, but the fandom menace defending Gina Carano as if she has done nothing wrong is part of the problem too. For example, they've berated people like Brie Larson for years, when all she said was that there could be more people of color in the movie industry, and sure, occasionally she does things that are a bit cringy, but acting like she's the root of all evil while defending Gina Carano, who is actually spread incredibly toxic shit on the internet, shows exactly where these people's priorities lie. Just listen to RK Outpost talk about this situation.
Gina Carano is already back on her feet and is already swinging again, because this is the way that you stop cancel culture. You fight back against it, you stand up to it, and that's exactly what she's doing. Take a look at what was just announced a few minutes ago on Twitter. Gina Carano hits back, announces new movie project with Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. They can't cancel us if we don't let them. How ironic, isn't it? That just a few days after the people at Disney lied about her, slandered her when they fired her, when all these people in the woke Twitter echo chamber and the fake news media tried to say that she was being offensive to the Jewish community, tried to say that she was being anti-Semitic, even though that's not the case in any way, shape, or form. All of these fucking people concerned trolling over it. Fuck them. She's just partnered with Ben Shapiro, an incredibly prominent Jewish man, for a new movie. Look at this. This is absolutely incredible.
Ah yes, Ben Shapiro. The most honest, righteous, and sexy man on this good earth. Listen, Ben Shapiro couldn't care less about the reason Gina Carano got fired. He doesn't care how offensive and incorrect her statements were, because all that matters to him is how he can use Gina Carano to further his own image and his own agenda. Gina Carano had just upset the left, and a lot of reactionary nerds online were supporting her, which made this a great situation for Ben Shapiro to capitalize on. He doesn't care that she's spreading misinformation on COVID and the election, because he does the same thing, and he doesn't care about her comments surrounding the Holocaust because their political opinions align and they can both profit off of this mutual relationship. But when you really think about it, this pairing shouldn't make sense. Gina Carano in her post about the Holocaust is talking about the problems of political division, but Ben Shapiro is a person who literally thrives off of political division. He's responsible for so many people hating others for their political beliefs. But also, what does Ben Shapiro being Jewish have to do with the comments Gina Carano made? Saying that her comments weren't offensive to Jewish people and their experiences just because an ultra-conservative, grifting person who happens to be Jewish had her on his show is like saying that someone can't be racist if they have a black friend. Alright, but then again, Ryan here would probably think that that's a good argument. And just by the way, It isn't. You can definitely still be racist even though you have some black friends. But also, I'm just gonna quote Ryan here when he says, "The woke Twitter echo chamber and the fake news media tried to say that she was being offensive to the Jewish community, even though that's not the case in any way, shape, or form." There is so much wrong with this statement. First of all, Ryan saying fake news media and echo chamber is just really ironic because he's absolutely the kind of person who'd read about a conspiracy theory on Fox News or the Geeks and Gamers website and think, wow, this is real news. Like, tell me, what is fake news about this situation? All the statements she made on social media are right there. Imagine making content like this and having the audacity to call something else an echo chamber. Now that's comedy. Also, him completely denying that what she said was offensive to the Jewish community and calling it fake news really tells you everything you need to know. Also, let's just briefly talk about all this bullshit about Gina Carano being cancelled, which is something all these channels have talked about, including the likes of RK Outpost, Nerdrotic, The Quartering, even Ben Shapiro. But the truth is, she was never cancelled, at least in the way we'd usually define being cancelled. This whole situation with getting fired by Disney has really only helped her. A couple days after she got fired, she was on Ben Shapiro's show, talking about cancel culture. She's even doing a movie with the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro. She's now more relevant, makes more money, and is way more popular than she ever was working for Disney. Part of it is that she's become a new poster person for the online right and the anti-SJW community. She's become a symbol to these people that you shouldn't hide opinions or give in to the oppression that these multi-millionaire, multi-platform influencers face on a regular basis. No sarcasm, by the way. She symbolizes the rebellion against the oppressive dictators of cancel culture, which our good friend the Critical Drinker perfectly articulated in this dreadful abomination of a video. And she gained this influence all because a bunch of people called her out on Twitter for being an inconsiderate person, lying about harmful shit, and overall just not being a very cash money person. So perhaps cancel culture really isn't the career-ruining entity of death that everyone claims it to be. Perhaps it's really just a way for people online to use their rights to free speech to call out a celebrity for saying toxic shit and trying to get them to see the fault in their ways and acknowledge the impact their words can have. I know that there are some instances where cancel culture goes too far, where we almost don't even let people learn from their mistakes, when all they've done is accidentally use a word that has only recently begun being seen as offensive. That's not very cash money either. But the vast majority of the time, cancel culture is a tool for regular people to make famous and rich people take responsibility for their actions. And so few people who get cancelled actually get cancelled. PewDiePie has been cancelled, but he's still doing just fine. People like Geeks and Gamers and his goons all claim to have been cancelled multiple times, but they all still have their platforms and they actually profit from the times they've gotten cancelled. And someone like Gina Carano, almost the very next day after she was fired, came onto Ben Shapiro's show, a massive platform. How is that being cancelled or censored?
Conservative voices are being silenced.
Listen, if there's a large mob on Twitter saying you've done something offensive, maybe you have done something offensive. If I'd accidentally said something that I didn't know was offensive or something that upset a lot of people and they called me out for it, I'd look into it. I'd listen to them. And I'd take it as a possible opportunity to learn. As Ethan Klein said recently when responding to Jordan Peterson's claims about cancel culture, canceling as you call it sometimes is a good experience, as painful as it is. The times when I've received the most flack on things I've said are the times I've learned the most about myself and the world, and how to be more mindful and caring of others. Listen, I'm not saying this whole cancel culture can't go too far sometimes, but when people like these talk about cancel culture as if it's a way for woke mobsters online to ruin the career of people they don't like, it's very disingenuous. Gina Carano wasn't cancelled. She was fired by Disney for saying some awful things online that many people within their target audience didn't like, and since they care about profit before all else, they fired her. And then Gina Carano went on to become an important face within the online right. She has seen her popularity boom. So please, tell me again, who lied about Gina Carano, and was she really cancelled? Because obviously you have no fucking clue. Damn. I went on quite a tangent there. I don't even know if this video is even about RK Outpost anymore. The rest of his video, he just rambles on about how you shouldn't apologize to the far left echo chamber, but instead you should fight back against them because fuck them. That's pretty much exactly what he says. But to end off this video, I want to draw your attention over to Twitter, where I found this clip of the fandom menace, including Ryan here making fun of transgender people on a live stream, and making fun of a young person for what looks like bandages on their wrists. Enjoy.
Well, my curiosity could be bad. It could be good.
Everything's bad these days.
Yeah.
Oh no, not this again.
Oh yes.
I was hoping for a pokey meme.
Cool. He, him, lesbian? No, there's no.
Cool. Now the LGBTQ confuses itself.
What is on the hands there? Are those bandages?
I was confused about that too, but I figured it would be toxic to ask in this day and age.
This person's very like, don't notice the bandages on my
I think
wrist.
they're too fucking retarded to actually cut their wrists. I think
It
that's
could
the
be a web shooter classic.
Yeah.
It could be.
It looks like web shooters from Spider-Man.
Please explain it to me so I can, understand.
Hello, my name's Phoebe. I use they, them pronouns primarily, and he, him is...
You're still a woman.
So, somebody
I can say anything I want here because it's not my channel.
Pronouns are not equal gender, and that's like the whole...
You're still a woman. Oh, the best part in this video is she talks about being a lesbian while also being he, him. So it makes absolutely no motherfucking sense.
Nope.
The
How
poor
dare
thing
you.
doesn't know who she is.
Bandages on my
I think they're too fucking retarded to actually cut their wrists. I think that's...
These people are so fucking pathetic. I don't know what causes you to think that saying shit like this is somehow acceptable. They're not just making fun of transgender people in general, but they're also making fun of these random people who haven't done anything to them. Listen, you can think that sex and gender are the same thing. A lot of people still believe that. I mean, I wouldn't agree with you, and neither would scientific consensus, but I get it. It's a relatively new debate, and I understand that there are a lot of different variables when it comes to the topic of transgender people, and just the opposition to binary gender in general. We can have civil discussions about these topics, but if you sit there making fun of these random people who aren't hurting you, and calling them stupid for the supposed cuts on their arms, then I've lost all respect for you. It's disgusting, and it doesn't at all show you owning the woke left, who want to destroy gender as we know it. No, you're just bullying them, and laughing at them. You're bringing absolutely nothing to the debate except for hatred, prejudice, and bullying. Also, you do understand that people who hurt themselves even for attention are still mentally suffering, right? The fact that you feel the need to go as far as to inflict pain upon yourself, even if to get attention, is still a problem that needs to be attended to. Granted, we don't know this person's story, we don't know if they hurt themselves, and that fact alone should just make it that much more clear that you shouldn't be sitting there making fun of a person who's obviously going through some shit. We don't know if those bandages are for cuts or for something else. First of all, it's none of our business. Just because it looks like they're showing off those bandages doesn't mean you should make fun of them. I really hate it when someone is seen having cuts on their arms and people go, oh, they're just doing it for attention. They're not actually depressed. Because it doesn't matter. They're still hurting themselves, and no matter the reason, it's still something that should be taken seriously. But listen, at the end of the day, these grown-ass men are sitting in their man caves and making an active effort to make fun of teenagers, saying they're too dumb to kill themselves. I honestly can't believe this is real. Thank you so much to Willy's Reviews for uploading this clip, because their live streams are where they really show their true nature. On Twitter and on their channels, they do these mental gymnastics to make it seem like they aren't actually racist or transphobic or homophobic, but on these live streams, they can let loose. Like this clip we just watched. Thing is, I don't know why these people don't just admit that they're homophobic and transphobic. Their audience clearly wouldn't care. But anyways, just for good measure, here's RK Outpost commenting on a live stream about episode 3 of Book of Boba Fett, being angry about those bandit people having colorful bikes. And he said this: they don't have enough money for water, but they have fancy gay bikes. And I don't care what you say, this is homophobic rhetoric. He's using the word gay as a negative adjective. He's using it to belittle something else. That's just homophobia. Listen, I wasn't a big fan of the colorful speeders either. I thought they looked overly polished and a bit out of place on Tatooine. But when you have to put the word gay in there, then it just shows that your problem is not the lack of logic. But also, if you're honestly wondering how this group of thieves got their hands on some expensive bikes, and I don't think you're really capable of paying attention to the things you watch. You can steal a motorcycle, but still not have enough money for basic necessities, which is why you also need to steal those. But listen, the fact that he even brought up the word gay in this comment instantly invalidates everything else he has to say about it. He doesn't care about analyzing the show on its merits. He just cares about what he thinks is woke virtue signaling, and I guess he just doesn't like when things are gay. But anyways, that was RK Outpost. He's really just a pathetic grifter just like the rest of these chuds, plus he really does have some truly horrendous opinions when you really think about it. He lies, he clickbaits, he bullies people online, he indulges in transphobic and homophobic shit, and overall, he just doesn't seem like a very good guy. But what do you guys think? Let me know your opinions on RK Outpost down in the comments. I also want to thank our awesome Patreons, including our turf captain Ben Joseph. While you're at it, why don't you go on over to my Patreon and see if any of the tiers interest you. It would greatly help out the channel, and of course it comes with some benefits. Also be sure to join the Discord server for fun times. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe and peace out.